I think, being a first person kind of game, I think the VR experience is just a given, like you see it. Like if you play it, when you play the demo, you see with the blade and everything, the point of view, the environment, it's gonna be perfect for VR.
If you go back to Arena, it is a procedural dungeon hack. It's a glorious, giant dungeon hack game. And okay, how can we translate that to a phone or a mobile device and make it unique to it, right? So I think the input mechanism is really important to those kind of things. While it has all these other parts that we'd want, but it really started as a dungeon experience, and then Blades grew and grew and grew and grew, like everything else, kind of around that nugget.
Hi, my name is Airyus, and if you're watching this video, you're either interested in virtual reality or you've heard or played The Elder Scrolls Blades. As you heard from the game's lead producer, as well as the game director Todd himself, The Elder Scrolls Blades was released with high hopes and high expectations.
This is an Elder Scrolls game that you can play however and wherever you want. And we are going to bring Blades to every device and system we can. Phones, PCs, consoles, also virtual reality, on mobile, all the way up to high-end VR on PCs. And what's really cool is all of those connect to each other. And so with Blades, you could be in a meeting playing Blades against someone at home in VR.
I think originally Todd had in his mind, like he had the vision for what Shelter was. It was very clear. You could show somebody what the sort of the origin of what Shelter would be, and it was very clear. And then it was similar with Blades. Like we wanted to make an Elder Scrolls game on your phone, and what would that be? And then if you look at sort of a screenshot from Skyrim, sort of, just you're in a dungeon walking around, you can swing the sword. It's all 3D, as close to console possible.
And Todd came to us and he was like, well, let's make like a rogue game mixed with like Fruit Ninja kind of thing. And everybody was looking at each other like, okay, how do we do this now? And make it look awesome. Because like one of the things about the BGS game is that they have like a super, lush environment with like lots of things. And we did want to bring a similar experience for people on mobile without making it like look like a lot of the 3D game that you see on mobile, like half done.
Of course, we all played Hack, we all played dungeon crawlers and wizardry, so way, way, way back to those kind of first-person experiences, but now you can hold this with a touch interface, hold your weapon.
And I think initially the combat for Blades was pitched as, well, what if it's kind of like Fruit Ninja, but more, strategic, and you're actually, doing maneuvers, using spells, blocking, but Todd is very, very interested in how the sword swings and how that feels when you control it with your fingers, how you touch and release, how all that plays. Because to him, if you can't get that basic part down of the sword moving right, this game's not going to be any good. And we've spent so much iteration time on how the sword is controlled and how combat feels more than anything else in the game.
We weren't sure that the Realis look was the right choice. For a long time we, iterated on like, do we go more stylized? Do we go more? We weren't sure how far we would be able to push it on the device. But we're lucky, every year there's new devices that come out and they're more powerful and more powerful. And I think the generation of device we have now are what we needed to be able, what we want to do.
This truly was a game born of fame, glory, and promise, only to die unjustly at the hands of cantankerous YouTubers claiming to be authorities and hiding their lack of understanding and blatant lack of knowledge behind their cries of monetization and microtransactions.
Okay, you want to time gate me, be my guest, I'll just sign on for a couple of hours every day and then carry on with my life. But also you're making difficulty weird, where I can't even try higher level missions. And I understand part of that's about the progression and getting good gear. But if I'm level 10, like taking on a level 12 mission is actually legitimately like in your face difficult. And it's because of the way the AI works during that combat. It waits sometimes for you to strike first and won't hit you at all. That's where Magicka's nice. That's where some of the abilities are nice, but still they can even counter those at times and hit you with their own abilities. So all in all, It's very funky. So
You're joking. First time bonus. How much is it if it's not the first time? €100 you expect people to pay for a microtransaction. My name is very fitting. But again to the actual game now, even though that's completely put me off. We're about to go into a second worldwide recession and they want me to pay €100.
But get this, you can only open one chest at a time. So you have to open a chest, wait 4 hours or so, then you can open another one. And the thing is that you literally get all your loot, decent weapons and armor from these chests. You can buy or craft things with the in-game traders using the gold currency, but comparatively it literally makes no sense because the items you buy are pretty much useless. You'll eventually hit a difficulty
Yes, the Elder Scrolls Blades needed some work in the beginning, since upon early release, Bethesda was heavily criticized for the implementation of various game timers that began to be categorized under the dark curtain of the paywall. However, once this feedback was received and processed, Bethesda went on to improve the game, remove the unnecessary timers, and then built one of the absolute most balanced, skill-based, non-pay-to-win games available today. But it was too late. By the time this was done, the backlash of the original release continued to linger. YouTubers left and right jumping on the bandwagon since so many people were bringing in tens of thousands upon thousands of views every time a new Elder Scrolls Blades is bad video was released. And it continued to snowball downhill from there. But that's why I'm here today, to tell you, Bethesda, to tell you, Microsoft, and most of all, to appeal to you, Todd, game director, leader of the Blades. Don't let this dream die. Remember everything that you and your teams worked for.
So the group in Montreal who's been working on this, they've worked on phone games for a long time. They have a lot of history there with that. They really know what they're doing. Me, as being kind of an outsider to phone games, I'm learning a lot from them. But everybody's playing the big phone games and saying, oh, how do they do it in this? How do they do it in this? I play tested Shelter and helped out the guys working on that a little bit, just giving them notes. But I wasn't in the day-to-day, how do you get this to run on a phone? What do what's the engine like? What can you use? What can Unity do? How many effects are in it? So there's a big, ramp up time for me to get used to, all right, here's what we do with phones. But we treat it almost as if it's just a regular console game, like any game you'd expect from Bethesda. It's as big as we can possibly make it with as much detail as we can put into it. We actually started with one of the kits we'd used for Skyrim as sort of the base block out for how the game could run, how it would work, how it would load levels, and it was more of a tech test. And eventually we polished it up and started making it look really, really good. Keep in mind, like, the art we used initially was not even PBR, so we're porting PBR, or changing it over to PBR on a phone, which kind of blew my mind initially, that this can run on a phone. So that's how the castle initially started. It was more here's our classic dungeon experience, the castle. How cool can we make this? And then we said, well, we don't want everyone to think this game is just, I'm stuck in dungeons all the time. Let's go outside, and how big can we make it? What can it be? And the artist who started that, Mike, he kind of blew us away with, like, okay, I've got this kit, and here you go. Here's what a big force could be. And we're like, is this going to run? There's no way this is going to run on the phone. And then it did.
So it was a combination of make it look that good, make it be a AAA console game on your phone, but also play that way as well. Like, we didn't want to fill the screen with buttons and controls, and it's like, how do we make that feel good and feel natural and be an Elder Scrolls experience, but on your phone? So yeah, it's an ongoing thing as far as features and how it looks, and then the other issue is performance, battery life, and we can make it look crazy and your battery will run out after 20 minutes. Nobody's gonna like that.
These phones, the latest generation, are super powerful, but not for a long time. Right. They're meant to be used in bursts. Two things happen when you don't do that. They overheat and they use up a lot of battery. So we have to find ways to pace it. So that's why we're trying to keep, let's say, the quest experience not too long, and try to make you move between the different places in the game. So not stay in the town forever, not stay in the quest forever. By doing this, we give the phone a little break, and it's able to cool down. Not everybody lives in Canada in the winter, so we have to think of everybody else. But everything that has a battery, you need to be self-aware of like how much power you're draining. And of course, like when you maxed out the CPU and the GPU on the device, there's only one source of energy on these things. And they can be plugged in, but I don't, it's kind of sad to think that you'll have to plug your phone every time you want to play our game.
Right.
So, and it's not really good for the phone either. So we don't want to break it.
It's more, it's this combination of like, we still want it to be Elder Scrolls, which it very much is. There's a whole story that ties back into the blades, to character customization. There's a lot of depth there. I guess going back to what we learned from Fallout Shelter for this is the ways to make a game that's very simple and accessible, but has the depth that our games are known for. So you can't necessarily go anywhere and do anything. It's a mobile game. We can't put the entire Elder Scrolls on your phone. Or at least it's not something we want to do, because there's a lot of baggage that comes with that. But the feel of an Elder Scrolls game, the customization, the ability to explore, to make the character you want to make for yourself and have an Elder Scrolls story, but at the same time do it in 5-minute chunks. Right. And make sure it works in that way. And then what is the right amount of time? Like, because people are going to play for a long time probably. Like, we don't want to stop people with timers or things like that. But are people going to play, is it fun to sit down at home and play for an hour on my couch, or I'm in line at the DMV, I have 5 minutes, and making sure that it works in both those cases. So that's sort of where the challenge comes from, but also the fun. And again, it's also like we did with the big games, like what do we want to play? A lot of times, Todd likes to say great games are played, not made. So we sort of play it like, what's fun about this, what isn't, what can we do differently?
You play a Blade and you're coming back to your hometown, but something happened. Some of these bandits have taken your town and broken everything around. Your town is all destroyed when you get there, and you have to slowly, kind of rebuild your town and build up your reputation and visit quests. You help your town being rebuilt by going into different locations that we call dungeons. So, for instance, there's castle, there's another one that's the forest, there's another one that's going to be kind of allied, which is like kind of the elves, some of the elf from Oblivion.
A part of the game is procedural dungeons, like hack. You keep going until you die. And that's really the grinding mechanic. You keep hacking, going through dungeons, looting, opening boxes, chests. The core is you explore the dungeons, do your quests. So some of them are quest-based, there's a narrative and so on. Others are just procedural. And as you do that, you gather the resources, you grow a character. Those resources you invest in building a town. And once you build your town, you have crafting. And crafting allows you to create unique weaponry and equipment and so on, which allows you to go back into grinding if you want.
We figure out like, okay, what are the main kind of adventure areas we want to have in this game, and how are we going to put them in? How much time do we have to make them? But we early on decided like, we want the town that you're rebuilding to be kind of wherever you think it is. It's not one particular place on a map, which is different for us because usually we start with a map. This game has no map. But we wanted you to sort of put your flavor on the town through customization and naming it and what you thought the town was. And then that allows us to go on an adventure anywhere we want. So we have all these different locations, and then maybe later we can add anything else we want to this game. And it's kind of fun that way. It's a little freeing. It's different than how we'd normally do things.
So forget about what everyone has said in the past, and don't worry about all the players who left, because the true Order of the Blades is still here, still strong, and we will support you, Bethesda. We will support you, Todd. We may even have some great ideas to help you further improve the game. Like, how about an idea for a new weapon type? So let's put this dream into reality. Finish what you started, and let's bring Elder Scrolls Blades to the world of virtual reality.
I think more and more people start to figure out like, okay, this is a thing. It doesn't replace what we do now. It enhances and complements it, and it might be its own game. It might tie into the main game. I think the industry is still figuring that out, but it's crazy how fast it's happening. I think you look at Fortnite's a good example of it's the same game on your phone and at home, and your progress carries over. Right. And then it's figuring out what makes sense for the franchise you're working on, the game you're working on.
In a way, the same way that Fallout Shelter was a fun experience until the real game was coming up, I think people will see Blade as a fun experience until the big game comes up.
Blades is the big game, and we will win once it becomes a reality, a virtual reality. My name is Airyus, and I play Blades. Cheers, my friends.